Hey, this is Corey Barnes.
And this is Lisa Caperton, and you're listening to Her Turn to Talk. Good morning, Corey. It feels weird doing this in the morning.
I kind of like it. It feels good, actually.
It is kind of nice. I should have had more coffee.
I don't feel like it's
I have
like
something that I have been meaning to ask you about that I keep forgetting, and I wanted to ask you so we could talk about it on the show. You said you suffer from sleep paralysis?
Oh, yeah!
I need to know about this.
Oh, the sleep paralysis. Yeah, I suffer from sleep paralysis. I hate it, but I do. I'm so glad. Where
I had asked you in the questions, and I meant to talk to you about when we did your interview, and then I forgot, and we didn't get to it. So you wake up, and your mind's awake, but you can't move your body?
Yeah.
Is it scary?
I'll wake up. I know I'm awake. I will open my eyes, and I can see around the room. And I can't move. I'm paralyzed.
It's like, did you watch Haunted Hill House or whatever it is on Netflix? Did you watch that last year? Mm-mm. Well, one of the characters.
Oh, yes, we did. I'm sorry.
One of the characters on there suffered from that. And
yes.
Do you think, does it scare you? Or are you
yeah,
just
it's
used
scary
to it now?
because typically I also feel like I can't breathe. And it's definitely not sleep apnea. I don't have any issues like that.
That's crazy.
But I feel like I can't breathe. I feel like I'm choking. And it's very scary. And so I've done a lot of research on it. And the last thing I read was to try to move your eyes back and forth as much as you can. And typically that'll wake me up. And I mean, I've been practicing it.
How often does this happen to you?
Does it work? No, not always. But
yeah. How often does this happen to you?
It happens about once a month.
Oh my gosh.
Sometimes more.
Are you a good sleeper?
Sometimes. Yeah, typically. Yeah. And I got this weighted blanket that's really helpful.
I love a weighted blanket. Aren't they the best?
I can't live without it.
My son stole it, and I didn't use it a whole lot during the summer because it gets hot.
Yeah.
But now I need it.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to have to get another one.
Yeah.
Because he's taking custody of it. But I have to sleep. Sometimes I have a mask. I have to sleep with earplugs in all the time. I need...
Sometimes
I need all sensory things to be shut down.
With light too. Yeah.
But I sometimes I have earplugs missing all the time.
Yeah.
One time I had a dream
They fall out.
that I was chewing gum.
Oh my God.
And I woke up and I was chewing on my ear.
That's so funny. I think you told
It's so
me that.
gross. But I have the lot missing, so I often wonder.
I'll wake up with them in my hand, and I'm like, how did they end up in my hand?
I've eaten some. I know that my old dog used to eat them because they would come out in her boob. That sounds so disgusting.
Yeah. But yeah, that sleep paralysis stuff. I was just bringing.
Oh my gosh, I feel like that's scary.
It says that one may hallucinate. There's so much research about it. They say it's very common.
That's crazy. I have a badass woman. I'm super excited. I know I've been talking to you about this badass woman for a few days and telling you I'm excited to tell you about her. Mm-hmm. And are you ready to hear her? Mm-hmm. Okay, her name is Sonita Elizadeh. And she is a young Afghan rapper and an activist. She has been vocal against forced marriages. And I got this information. I first learned about her. I saw she has some interviews on YouTube.
She's been vocal about what?
Forced marriages.
What's that?
Child marriages. So I'm going to tell you. So this is also from Wikipedia and her own personal website, sonitaelizadeh.com. But she first gained attention because she released a rap called Brides for Sale. And it was a video about young daughters being sold into marriages by their families. So she's from Afghanistan originally. And what happened is her family first was talking about selling her when she was only 10 years old. And so the thing to remember is in a lot of these places, this is how their family gets money. And so they were going to sell her when she was 10, but then the Taliban took over, and so they actually had to escape and go to Iran, and she lived there undocumented. because they were fleeing, so she had no papers. And so she didn't really have any kind of formal education. And again, the family's looking to sell her. She was cleaning bathrooms. She had to teach herself how to read and write. And so she discovered music. And it says like one of her influences was Eminem. But she was inspired by the music, and she wrote a song and made a YouTube video with this documentarian, this Iranian documentarian. They made this video called Brides for Sale. And it was a big deal because it was illegal. I don't know if it still is, but it was illegal for women to sing in public. And so she made this video also speaking about something very controversial in her community. And in the video, it's not in English, but you can watch it. It's subtitled, and it's very powerful. She dresses as a young bride. She has her face painted and bruised. And in some interviews, they're asking her, why did you have your face bruised up? And she said, that was my inspiration because that's what I saw in my friends. And as she said in one video, she looked at her friend who was a young girl and who did not want to be forced into marriage, and her family beat her for it. And so it's just heartbreaking, and it makes me, my eyes are a little more wide open of like, wow, the things that people face that we take for granted here, I think sometimes. But what happened was she made this video. She got recognized, and I'm sorry, I'm reading this, but a group called Strong Heart Group, it's a nonprofit group. They reached out to her, and they actually got her a scholarship and were able to get her funds and help her to move to America. So now she lives here. She's gone to school, and within her first year of being here, she learned English. She went to school. She was making straight A's. She's still doing her activist work. She has a website. She does, goes and does speaking on this to get the word out to end this. And on her website, the first statement is every year, 12 million girls are married before the age of 18. That's nearly one girl's dreams going dark every 2 seconds. It says when a girl becomes a bride, her fundamental human rights are shattered. She almost always loses her opportunity for an education. Her health is put in peril and her safety at risk. Child marriage happens everywhere. It devastates the lives of the girls, negatively impacts the communities, and ultimately shuts down the growth of nations. And she's just a young woman. I think she came here in, I believe, 2015. I think she was 18. So she's still in her 20s. Yeah. She's a very young woman, very beautiful, very smart, very bright. And I thought I seen it and I listened, I watched her music video, and I was like, this woman, she is totally, totally badass. And I'm just so inspired when I see people who can do something like that. And it's not just that she's making a statement. She puts her life at risk by doing that, And so that's my badass woman.
I'm in awe.
You're shocked, dude.
I got a lot of questions and stuff that we can probably talk about afterwards. I'm like,
yeah, no, I encourage everybody, go visit her website. So it's actually Sonita, sonita.org. And you can learn more about her. You go watch her YouTube video, her video.
Sounds like a miracle.
She's amazing. But we'll put links up on our website for everybody to go and check her out. And, it's just an eye-opening thing to, kind of, I don't know, open our eyes to the world around us a little bit. But that's my badass woman. And I know this week we have another badass woman that we're going to talk about, Miss Jeli, right?
Yep, Miss Jeli.
And she has an amazing story coming from lots of triumphs in her life.
Absolutely.
Right?
She is an amazing storyteller.
Amazing storyteller. Overcame a lot of obstacles in her life.
Yep. And she's living the good life now.
Yep. So we are, pleased to welcome Jeli on the show. We hope people get inspired by Sonita, get inspired by Jeli. And please, please, please help us put the word out. Help us reach other women and rate, review, and subscribe. Welcome, Jeli.
Hi.
How are you?
Pretty good.
We're so happy to have you here today.
I'm happy to be here.
So now, Jeli, you are originally a New York City lady?
I sure am.
Awesome.
Born and raised.
Born and raised. And you said your parents are first generation American?
Well, yeah, I'm first generation American.
You are.
Yeah,
You
so
are.
so
Okay.
they came in the late 70s, early 80s.
Where did they come from?
So they were born in the Dominican Republic,
Okay.
and they came here like adults, young adults. They came into America and they settled in New York City. So That's where I was
Awesome.
born.
And where in New York City?
Brooklyn, baby.
Brooklyn.
I was born in Brooklyn, and then I moved to this place called Washington Heights. Mm-hmm. Now, if you're Dominican, you know where Washington Heights is. And then I moved around, right? My parents got divorced, so we moved around to Queens. Then we ended up in the Bronx. So
Any brothers and sisters?
I do. I have a brother named Lionel, and I have a sister on my father's side named Chantel.
Cool. So what was it like growing up there in New York?
Growing up in New York was fun. It was fun. Like, New York City is fun. You get on the train, as a child, you're going on the subway, you see a lot of different people, right? So you're exposed very young to a lot of things and a lot of people and a lot of cultures. But it was also rough because it was an inner city public school life. My parents did not speak English, right? So it was like another world, right?
So at home, you
Right.
spoke one language and
Right.
out. Okay.
So at home I spoke Spanish, ate Spanish food, had Spanish traditions, and then I had to go on the subway.
What did your
With
parents
a
do
million
when they
languages.
came here?
So, a lot of this is not only my parents, this is a lot of immigration stories. They started off like this. They came and they worked in factories,
Yeah.
Leather factories, shoe factories in Brooklyn. They had the big warehouses you see in the 80s where like house music came from, the warehouse music.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
big factories and faculties and warehouse people. They were warehouse people. They moved from there, obviously, through the years, but that's what they did. And I remember stories, my mom saying, I was pregnant with you on the train, and ladies used to come up to me and touch my belly. I said, Mom, that was the 80s. They don't let you do that now. You can't go up to a random lady and touch her belly now on the train.
Nope.
That's not gonna happen.
You'd be getting in a lot of trouble for doing that nowadays.
Yeah. It was interesting. It was very interesting growing up in New York City.
Yeah. What is I don't know. Like, what was it like, I guess, living in this kind of dual world? Did you have, I don't know, pride in where you came from, or was that hard to deal with? Like,
I
don't-
love that.
Yeah.
Because pride is so interesting. It's very different in different cultures. Like, you can see, like, if you were in New York City and you go to Washington Heights, for example, or Spanish Harlem or whatever, and you see a flag, like, Dominicans, they have their flag on the wall, right? You're like, why do you that's how they show their pride. Like, that's how we
Right.
show our pride. Or Puerto Rican, or you see the Puerto Rican flag in a car or something. That's the pride. It's kind of different when you think about how we are as Americans and our pride, right? You can't have white pride.
Right.
You can't, because then that doesn't sound right. That
Yeah.
doesn't
Yeah.
look right.
Yeah.
The way we talk about pride is because, when you're in another place, like you come to the United States and you're so little and so few, you want to stick together. You want to bring out your
Right,
culture.
right.
So
It's a community.
Yeah, it's a community, so you can survive. It's really
Yeah.
a survival thing. And I think when you grow up in New York City in different neighborhoods, it feels that way. You're going
Yeah.
into Little Italy or Spanish Harlem
Yeah.
or Chinatown. Like, you have all these little communities. And I think the history, the foundation behind that is they're coming here for more opportunity, because where they came from, it's not a lot of opportunity, but they got to stick together so they can survive. So the pride comes from keeping the culture alive, not so much of like, we're better than, and
Right.
we don't want any other person of a color or whatever. They're just saying, hey, we exist. We are here too, and we exist. So there's a lot of that in the Latin community.
Do you miss that about New York? Because
I do.
it's
Yeah.
look. I mean, we're in Boulder, and there's not a lot.
Yeah, there's not a lot of diversity.
Yeah, there's just not.
But I realized on Pearl Street, it's like
Yeah.
tourists.
Yeah,
No
yeah.
one's from Boulder.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Right?
Right. No,
I was
I'm
like-
transplant myself.
Yeah, no one's from anywhere. So I think New Yorkers, we do share that. And I think not only New Yorkers share that, I think first generation American New Yorkers also. So
Sure.
you have like a lot of Germans or Italians or Irish that you know, and then we have that first generation vibe, you know, like
Yeah.
we speak both languages.
Yep.
Probably our children won't, you know, they probably won't, right? Because it just happens that way. But I hope not. I'm working on keeping that alive. But, you know, we speak both languages. We have two cultures. And it is difficult navigating that,
Yeah.
especially in a city, right? It's different if you're in a small town and everybody knows each other, the Robertsons and the Smiths, and you saw the Sherman kids, you know, like you see in the movies. But that's not how New York is. You know people from your building.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about the urban life, New York City. I'm not talking about like the people on Fifth Avenue, you know. Yeah, those are New Yorkers too. They're a different. There's a different class.
breed, yeah, different breed of New Yorker.
That's a different person, you know. The Trump kids, you know, that grew up in the building. Like, no, we're not talking about y'all. You know, we're talking about the kids. You know, you hang out outside.
Yep.
You know, and with your North Face on, with your Timberland boots. You know, in the winter, there's no parks. You know,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of crime. So
Yeah.
they have
And
commercials. Yeah.
You have a lot of friends growing up?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
had a lot of friends.
Yeah.
And you know, they feel like friends, but they're just your neighborhood kids. You
Yeah.
know, it's a bunch of us, and there's a lot of mischievous things, and there's great things, but there's crime. You know, there's it's really together. Crime and good, everything is at the same place. One moment you're having a great dinner time with your friends and everybody in the building because it's cold, everybody's huddled in.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, you walk to the train and somebody's like a homeless bum on the train, pissed all over the seats. You know, you're like,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
it's right in your face. You
Yep.
know, the cops. There's always noise. There's always a fire truck and an emergency.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
having a great dinner. Your window's open. There's an emergency. You know,
Yeah.
oh Lord, that must be, you know, on Fifth Avenue. You know, it's over there on 125th Street. You know.
How did you end up in the Navy? And how old were you?
Yeah. So basically, I had a wonderful childhood, and then I don't know what happened. You know, something happened. You know,
Yeah.
life happened to me, and the way I took that in and took that on, I ended up in the Navy because it was a suggestion. One of my uncles went to the military when he came to America, and like it changed his life. It was like that was the best thing I did, you know, because he comes from another. He wants to be better. I'm like, no, I just want to have fun. I want to have a good time. I was a teenager, getting in a lot of trouble now. It was one of those times, you know, I was the first daughter, so there was a lot of hope for me. You know, it was like, this is our star. She's gonna take us out of the slums. You know, and that is a great thing. But it didn't feel good at the time. Now I can see that in a very different way. But so it was suggested to me after going to jail a couple times. I was drinking, drugs, hanging out too late, doing whatever.
And was that, do you feel like that is something, I'm just curious, of where the environment you were in? Or do you think, like, no, that had nothing to do with that. That was just what I was going to do no matter where I was?
You know, that is the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the mystery, you know?
We don't know.
We don't know. We don't know. I want to say that I believe that I do have some predisposition to disease and illness. There is alcoholism in my family. People have died from it. Not my parents. So I believe there is some predisposition, some kind of thing I was born with. I also believe that social conditions matter. I believe that too. I believe that is a factor. You could have all the predispositions if you have great parenting, great structure. I don't know, maybe, you know, polo club every day, horse riding. I don't know. Maybe that, you know, I don't know. You know, great therapy since you're come out the womb. I don't know. It could be, you know, that it would have been a different path for me. But that wasn't the case. I've also seen people that don't do drugs and don't get into with horrible backgrounds, you know, in a worse state, you know, abuse, neglect, foster care. That was not my story, you know, and I'm grateful, you know, for that. So I don't know. I do believe that in New York City, and I know this is true for many cities, but in New York City, you have access and exposure to things maybe earlier or faster or more of. I'm not sure.
Kind of mature a little faster.
Yeah, you have to. You have to survive more. There's more of a survival mentality. There's a lot of different people around you. You can't trust everyone is the mentality. When you're a child, you see things, you know, there's not a lot of censorship, you know. You're exposed. So I went to the Navy.
Yeah. So back to so your uncle,
So
he was in the
he
military.
he was in the U.S. Navy, and it did him miracles. As an immigrant coming to America. So he thought, you know what, you're getting in too much trouble. He talked to my parents, talked to my mom. Like, this girl needs to go to don't you think you need to go to the military and do something with your life? And I said, yeah, I do believe that, because deep down in my heart, I wanted to feel better. I wanted to do something. It's not like I didn't know that I was gonna completely destroy my life.
Yeah.
So I did. I agreed to it.
How old were you?
I was 18.
Okay.
I was 18. And it happened to be, I went to private school, which is a miracle, for a couple of years. And then I dropped out. And then I dropped out of high school. So my mom was so disappointed. By this time, my mom and my dad were not together. My dad had nothing to do with, me. And I didn't want anything to do with him, is really what I realized later on. But the reality is that I dropped out of high school, and I didn't want anything to do with anybody, but I wanted to shut my mom up. So I got my GED at a public school. And I didn't even have to wait. I just took the placement test. The director was like, you passed the placement test with 10. It was like out of 10. I said, yeah, can I just take the test? And he did. He let me take the test. So I got my GED a week later. And, I was like, forget it. I just told my parents, my mom, you see, I don't even need to go to school. I'm not like these kids,
I'm smart.
I'm better than them.
I got this.
I'm smart, She was like, get out of my face. Don't come home when you're drunk. I was so disrespectful in that way. And that's when I went to the military. And you know what they made me do? They made me go to college. They said, oh, you don't have a high school diploma, so you need to get 15 credits. And you need to lose 5 pounds. I was overweight. And I said, okay. I did it. I don't know how I did that. I actually went to like a community college in Queens, hanging out with my boyfriend or whoever I was hanging out with at the time, and drinking and drugging the entire time. And I lost weight.
You did it.
Yeah.
And when you join something like that, are you like, now they're watching you? What is that like to join the Navy?
To join the military or any organization that's going to take possession of your life, it's an institution. They have to break you in a little bit. It is very scary. It's a very scary transition, especially for someone that has these issues like me, right? Like at the time, I had no training about my emotional state. I didn't know that I was addicted to substances. I just didn't believe that yet. So it's even harder because it's very scary. You're changing and transitioning into another life. And there is a lot of like reprogramming that has to happen, right? So as soon as you get to the base, they have the program people, the recruitment team that, yells at you, and they try to weed out the people, that can't handle this. And I'm sure that there's some kind of mental psychology behind it, because it felt that way.
Where was your base, if you don't mind?
Yeah, no, I don't mind at all. I love to talk about the military, because even though I wasn't the greatest time of my life, I do recommend it for people who, especially urban city, inner city kids that want to do something and they don't have a way out. Military is a good way to make a living.
Where I'm from, it's very opposite. Small town, Texas, mobile home, port. It's the same. It's same kind of thing, just different environment. But that's a lot of, a route that people,
they go to the military. Because
Yeah.
you have a steady job, you can retire early, they pay for school, and you get to learn. You get to learn a lot. So, so I went, the base was for the Navy, boot camp is in Chicago. Mm-hmm. Army is a different base, and Air Force is a different base. So I was in Chicago and I did my time there. I did my boot camp training, 3 months, and then I graduated. And then they give you your orders from there, depending on your how high you score on your test. And you don't know that, right? Unless but it's too late by the time you understand how that works. But I had help. I had my uncle who was like, no, you need to get a high score on your test, and you need to. So I did.
And where did you end up working in the Navy?
So I ended up going to Mississippi, which was
that was a culture shock, right?
Yeah. I mean, that was the first time, right? Like I had gone to the islands, with my family, like Dominican Republic or Puerto Rico. I've gone there but not like this, right? Those were vacations. So I was in Mississippi and I see a cow on the road, like It blew my mind. I was like, there's a cow on the road, And it was weird. Like, people were going to the mall to hang out. I thought that was weird.
Oh no, that's what. Yeah,
that's
what
what
we
you
did.
do.
That's what I did.
It was very quiet around 8 o'clock at night. Very weird. You hear trees and birds and insects. Very weird. I was like, this is not for me. That's what I remember saying. I don't belong here. I remember saying that. I don't belong here. I didn't say it with I just thought it.
Yeah.
But I went there for school. So I did my school time and I got in trouble right away. Right away. I finished my classes early. I graduated at the top. I got my orders, and then I had 2 weeks free, which apparently, as an alcoholic, I shouldn't have done that. So I had a big party. A lot of people got in trouble. There was a lot of drugs and sales and stuff.
A big party.
Big, huge party. and you know what? It's not like New York, right? So everyone knew about it. The entire county. Like the county? Really? Like, yeah, Meridian. It was in Meridian, Mississippi. I was like, I don't know where I am. So I went to, that was my first time in the military. My first time, it was a preview of what the future was going to be. So I went to jail in the military.
For having that party?
I went to jail because there's a buddy system.
What is that like?
That was
it
weird.
Military jail? Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's
Military
not just,
jail.
you don't go to the state jail, you go to military jail.
Yeah, you go to a military, and it was like they gave me a chance. The captain, which is the highest official, right, on a base or a ship, they made a captain's mast, and which is an Article 15 for the military. He said, I'm not even going to go that far with you. Because he looked at my record. It's like I'm in boot camp, right? I just got out of boot camp. I have no military experience yet. So he's like, this poor girl, right? She's just, let's give her a chance. Give you a chance. So he saw my record, you scored so well, and it's just, you got to put your mind, focus, and you have so much potential, And I said, okay, sure. So he's like, I'm just going to give you 30 days in our detention center. So you can, refocus like a boot camp. So I went to Biloxi, Mississippi. I'm just like, where am I? Like, where? Get me out of here, right? So it was like a boot camp, an extra 30 days of like military instruction. Mm-hmm. So they put me in a room and they made me read the code of conduct, and it was so weird. It was so difficult. What a hard time. And my unwillingness. I was
alone.
Yeah, I felt very alone, and I didn't know what I was doing. I think that's the problem right there.
Right.
I didn't have guidance. It was just like, do this. I didn't know what I was doing. I should have had other conversations.
So, what happened after that?
So
How'd you get out?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got out because I was kicked out.
Of the military?
Yeah, I was kicked out.
For having parties?
Yeah, basically. With or without them.
I would have been kicked out too. So quick.
Yeah, I was kicked out.
So quick.
Yeah, but not quick. I was kicked out after a while. Mm-hmm. They gave me a lot of chances. I have to say, they really did.
They tried.
Yeah, they really tried. They really tried. I was unwilling. And
so what happened when you got out?
I got out, and I was very depressed. I failed yet again at something else. But for some reason, I don't know, I got back up. I went back home. I got in a relationship with a person that I met in the military, and that relationship became like my drug of choice.
Sure.
And I just went, I try to work. I try to do so many things. I did so many things. I went to Wall Street. I got a job at Wall Street.
Wow.
Right after I got out of the military.
Doing what?
I was working for a brokerage firm, and I was selling stock, and I went up for my Series 7.
Wow.
It was like,
Jelly.
I don't know how I did that, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you how I did that. My aunt works on Wall Street. So I went one day for lunch, and I was at a hot dog stand, I swear to God. And I was at the hot dog stand waiting for her to get lunch, and the guy was behind me, and he was listening to me talking to someone else who had cancer or something like that. And I was just like really involved with this conversation, and myself, right? Like, I'm in New York. I'm like, so let me tell you, I can't believe this, da 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 da. And the guy's like, you're so like, are you working? Do you work around here? I'm on the hot dog stand, seriously. and I'm like, no, I'm just waiting for my aunt. She works here, whatever. He's like, if you ever need a job, just call me. Right?
Wow.
He gave me his card. I went to lunch. I called him right there, right after lunch. He said, come tomorrow. So I went. That's how I got the job. And, you got to work, to get your Series 7, you got to work at a brokerage firm. And, I mean, these guys were killing the game, right? Like, I was like 23, and these guys were young, like 30, and I was like looking up to them, They're like...
How did they treat you?
they treated me like a man.
Yeah.
No special treatment. Like if I got there, you know, because you're calling these big powered auto owners. You know, they own these car lots or whatever. They're really. I had to change my name and everything because you know they're not gonna deal with Jelithza Benaya. They're gonna deal with Kelly Morgan, you know, or whatever. And I'm like, I hate you guys. It's like change your name.
Really?
Yeah, change your name.
Was it really Kelly Morgan?
Yeah, that was my name.
Kelly.
Right.
Wow, this is interesting.
Very interesting.
Jelly, this is wild.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
And because all these guys are not in New York, right? These billionaires, and we're getting our list from the S&P or whatever, and we're calling them, and we got to get them to use our service so that we can run their stocks. And these are multi-million-dollar sharks, you know, that you're calling, and it was intense, and it was like they would record you, you know, everything is recorded. So if you had like you don't know a rebuttal, the guy, I'm never gonna forget him, Mike, he would be like, get it on. So you'll be like talking to him, and he has it on recording, and he'll tell you what to say, you know, and he's like, tell him this, you know, he just knew all the rebuttals. It was so nerve-wracking.
It's like in the
Sounds
movies.
intense,
Right? You see
Yeah.
the movies,
Right, like those, like those movies with what's his name?
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah. What was it?
Wait, right?
The Wall Street guy.
Yeah.
What was his name?
Wolf on Wall Street.
Wolf on Wall Street.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Quick
not
paced.
that. It's not that elaborate.
Right.
You know, that's
Right.
like Hollywood. But yeah, it has that vibe, and people are, you know, they're hanging out. They're
Yeah.
having
And what
parties.
year, I mean, what year was this?
What year was it? So I got out of the military. It was like 2008.
Okay.
2000. Yeah.
Were there
It
many?
was 08. It was 07 or 08.
Was there many other women around? Because that's a pretty male-dominated
Yeah.
field.
It
Yeah.
still is, right?
Yeah.
But there's more women now. They better
Yeah.
be.
Yeah. There needs
There
to be.
weren't a lot of women at the time. There were a few though, like
Yeah.
2 or 3 women.
Yeah.
They were like the top of the line women, right? And they were killing it. I remember this one woman, which I thought was interesting because I always thought that is a woman of color. I thought that was like, okay, I can do it.
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought those things.
Yeah.
You know, it was like without knowing that's what I thought. If there was a Spanish woman or a woman of color, even if there's women, that's great. But when I saw a woman of color, it would be like, oh, okay. Like
I can do this too.
I could do it. Okay, I can do it. It was like a little confidence.
Yeah.
In the military too, there was not a lot of women. I mean, you would think, right?
Yeah.
There is. But there is a lot of women, but it's still not as many women as there are men. And every time you see a woman and then you see a woman like you that looks like you or from where you're from, it's just a connection. Just like, okay. You don't even have to talk to them. You're just
Yeah.
like, oh, she's here? Oh, I can be here.
Yeah.
Okay, I can be here. I'm not going to die today. You know, like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was interesting.
I belong here too.
yeah. And they made, you know, I'll never forget when I was having issues or whatever, when I wasn't getting my clients, one of the owners would come up to me in Wall Street in the brokerage firm, and he would say, you know what it is? You have an accent. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I'm American. He's like, well, you know, you could tell you're Spanish or something. So I said, so how do I change that? He's like, so you got to pronounce every letter. Like, I'm never going to forget that he said that. So if I would talk to the guy, he'd want me to say like you guys' name is her turn to talk. I'd have to say her turn to talk. I'm like, I hate you. I can't talk like that. That's not.
Yeah, that's not
you know,
who
it's
you
not,
are.
yeah, it's not gonna be natural. He's like, I don't care, make money. You know. It was that.
How did
It was
that
that
make you
vibe.
feel? Were you just like, whatever, I need this job, I want this money, I'm gonna do what
until
you
I
said?
did it.
Yeah.
I felt that way, yes, for months, until I didn't, because you know that's how we are.
Yeah.
Women, I believe that about women. We could be lying to ourselves until we're not.
Yeah.
And then when I didn't feel that way anymore, I said, I don't care about this. I don't care about the money.
So did
I
you
can't
leave
do
the
it.
job?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, I left that job. See you later. I was gone, man. I was gone. On to the next, you know, and I like the theme in my life. I didn't know where I was gonna go, you know? It was just like I didn't have direction, but I knew it was something else.
Yeah.
I didn't have direction, but I knew it was something else. And that's when I continued from there.
Yeah. And where did life lead next?
After there, Florida. I really got into really heavy drinking, jail, fights, belligerent. It was an emotional thing. I had my own place though. My parents, by this time, the women in my family, I was raised by 3 women. You know, they did pretty well with their lives, and they helped me out. They helped my mom out. So I had my own apartment, and I I had to leave that guy, right? I had to leave this relationship. And that relationship was toxic. And I was the major one. I mean, for many years, I thought it was him. And for many years, I thought it was the military. And for many years, I thought it was New York City. And for many years, I thought it was my parents' divorce. And that the fact that they didn't speak English and they didn't have the resources and they worked at a factory and that we lived in New York, in Washington Heights, and it was that. And then I went to public school and it was that. And it was the boyfriends and it was all these things, you know. And I had to leave him, right? I said, it's him, it's his family. I can't take him. I'm a failure. I'm a loser. I got to go. So I went to Florida to get help for alcohol. But I just thought the palm trees and everything. And somebody told me, you should go to, even the military said, you really need to go to treatment. Like, something is wrong with you. You need to go to treatment. So no, it's not. It's you guys. It's not me. So I did. I went to Florida. I hung out for another year. And that really landed me in the...
And you got help in Florida, or you went and just...
I went to
like partying for
I
a
was
year?
partying. I went for help. I went for help.
Okay.
I went for help.
But you
honestly,
didn't like go get help right away when you got
I went
there?
for help, and I met with my cousin who was also very toxic at the time, and which would you what are you gonna do? Why would you be with people who aren't?
Yeah.
You're gonna have fun with the people you can.
Oh, absolutely.
And I went to have fun, and the law caught up with me, real quick. A year. I was there 1 year. Never gonna forget. It was 2009. It was gone. It was like I got a DUI, which was very dangerous. I almost killed children, and I got locked up. And that was like the beginning. It was the end, but at the beginning.
The beginning of the end.
Yeah, the beginning of the end.
Yeah.
And that was it. It was like whoa, and I got a DUI, and I was in a lot of trouble.
Had you lost the place where you were living at this
I
time?
got evicted, gone.
Were you just living in your car on the streets?
I was
What
living
that
with my
like?
cousin, so I
Okay.
went to Florida. I stayed with her.
Yeah.
I don't know how I did that. Like, I'm just going to come on vacation. I just thought it was a vacation because I was going to get help.
Yeah.
I was going to finally listen to all these crazy people, right? Yeah. But I didn't. I just ended up being on her couch for a month, hanging out, going to parties, strip clubs, and everything, hanging out. So I went to jail. And it was different this time. I was older. I had no money. I was broke. I was broken. And it was like a different jail. Like, it's the South, right? So in New York, you grew up listening about the South. It's like you never want to go to the South. So the first thing that I remember coming when I came to in jail was there was no water in the jail. Like, there was no water there. I thought that was such an injustice. It's like, there's no fucking water in here.
No,
Oops,
you're
sorry.
good. You're good.
There's no water in the jail. And I just immediately had these thoughts like, this is over for me. I've landed myself in this position. I'm in the South. I'm gonna die here. Like, it was like,
Yeah. The end of days.
yeah, the end of days. And it really felt that way. For anybody who's suffering from depression or anxiety, I didn't know that I had these things. It's really major to have anxiety and a panic attack. People don't understand how that works.
Yeah.
And it was hard, very difficult. So that scared me. And I got help right after that. And my life changed. Right? That year, 2010 was the year my life changed. For the worse, the better, whatever. It was worse until it got great, And I did that in Florida. And I got help. And I really did, it was a probation officer who forced me to do it. And I couldn't leave Florida. That's another thing. After you go to jail and you have a DUI, you ever heard that they have a saying in Florida? It says, you go on vacation, but you stay on probation. Because or maybe criminals only know that saying. You go for vacation, but you stay because of probation. Because people drink and drive, and and I almost kill people.
I mean, crazy shit happens in Florida.
Yeah, crazy. It's like it's a vacation every day. It feels like a sunny summer day every single day,
Yeah.
I'm sure that's not why people do the things they do, but I'm sure it has a place in it. I got help.
And then, the help started. You
Yeah.
started feeling better.
Yeah, I got help, and I want to share this.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of women don't know what's going on. I got help from local agencies. I want to talk about those agencies.
Yes,
Yeah,
please do.
Volunteer Broward in Florida. Very important. They have if you go on their website.
What's the name of it?
VolunteerBroward.org.
Okay.
They have one here.
We'll put a link on our website.
Yeah, put a link on them. Please, anybody, and contact me. Put my number. Anybody that wants to talk or how to get started on any of this stuff.
Yeah.
They have one here, volunteercolorado.org. If you go on that link, and that's not a place, that's just a website where you can find all kinds of different services. They have a very important thing here. In Florida, I use Women in Distress as one of my resources. Here, they have this thing called Broomfield Fish. It's a family resource center.
Oh, great.
They help you if you want to get out of a hard situation. If you think you may be suffering from alcoholism or drug addiction and you can't seem to get a job, and these are the family resources that help you get that.
And you've been
started.
sober ever since?
Ever since, yep.
Ever since.
Ever since then, I've been sober. And many times it wasn't my choice. It's like, it wasn't my choice for the couple of months in the beginning. I had to report. I had to blow into a machine. I had to get tested and everything because it was alcohol and drugs, And I don't like to leave that out now because, there's a lot of people that don't feel they're one or the other or whatever. And that probation officer saved my life, and so did that cop, So many years later, I went back to them and I thanked them, and they were like, "What?
Wow.
I can't believe you're here!" And I really had to see my part in that and what they're doing, because for so long I hated them and the system, and there's other things I don't like about social systems. But.
Yeah. I know we've talked to other people on here about coming out of things in difficult situations and how they use other resources and other women for help. And I know that's something that you're passionate about, is giving back and helping other people.
I am. I'm very emotional about that.
No, yeah.
So these resources are wonderful, and they're there for anyone, and you can do them by yourself. What I couldn't do by myself was pick up the pieces that I didn't know were missing. It was so many women that helped me do that. Because there are women, and even men, but I'm not, that's not where my focus is on. There are so many women that are willing to work on themselves. They believe in connection, and they're so brave to talk about those experiences and their sexual abuses and their drug addictions and their depressions and their anxiety. They're so brave, and they're so willing to work on themselves and get the right help. And then they come out and they help other women that are doing that, that are going through that. That is what saved my life. The willingness of those women that have paved that path for me.
Yeah.
Because hadn't someone else done that, I would not be where I am. Because what I'm talking about is nothing new.
Right.
I didn't create something. I'm creating my space, and I'm creating a space for women and women like me that look like me and that come from where I come from. I want to talk about that, right? I want to bring that out. But I'm not creating the new thing. I'm not God. I'm not creating a new path, right? This is the way. It's about helping each other, listening to our stories, and giving and lending a hand. If I'm already out the door, I can leave the door open for someone else,
Yeah. I love that too. I love that.
Because I want to give my hand backwards.
Yeah.
That's important. It saved my life. That thing saved my life. Of course, these women use these resources. Women in Distress, Volunteer Broward, Broomfield Fish, all these career source centers, staffing companies. There's a lot of agencies that help you get your feet on the ground.
There's a lot of wonderful people out there.
And they want to do that. That's what they dedicated their lives. But this one-on-one, this group therapy kind of environment, with the herd kind of like saving me until I love myself.
We sat and had coffee a couple weeks ago, and I said, Jeli, there's something special about you, And when we started talking about this connection with women, don't worry about it, the connecting with women, and I just watched it
Someone
again.
wants to connect right now.
You light up, and something, you're the glow. All of a sudden, there's something you've got this channel and this is your thing.
Yes.
Right? And like right now, so a lot has changed in the past 10 years, right? You've gotten a degree. You're studying what? Social work and
social change.
And social
just
change.
in the community.
Yeah, more community
Right.
stuff. And I love how we started this conversation with, you grew up in this community, right? And I can feel it. I'm from North Shore, Boston. I know that
You
community,
understand.
the melting pot, And so Tell us more about what you're doing now with this social work and the social change stuff. And I want to hear a little bit about, I know you got married and you're, all these exciting things. So tell us about what life's like now.
Okay, so after this huge change, right, it's like a change in perception, right? So people start giving you love and you start learning maybe not what you want so much, but what you don't want anymore. And that really pushes you to the next level. A couple of years into that, I started working with a group of women on, deciding what I want to do with the future. And immediately, right, I started cleaning out the wreckage of my past. And I started just finding myself right in the middle, listening to my voice that I always had, by the way, which I never listened to it, but I always had, right? So I do a lot of work on that. And I do a lot of work with that, with the women that I work with now, is finding this voice that, it's like, I don't want to say it here, but it's like yourself, you gotta, it's finding my inner self, my authentic self before the world got a hold of me, right? Before I got all these ideas about what I'm good at and what I'm not good at, what I'm, feeling unwanted. So there's a lot of work that I do with my girls on that. With the social community, and it is coming from my Latin roots, I have to say, but Americans, we have that root too. There's a lot of pride and culture that is American, and that if you go out of America, if you leave the United States, right, you can tell that people know you're American right away.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So that's how I learned that, my God, we do have a label, we do have a community of Americans out here, and I'll talk a little bit about that, but it was wonderful. I met a wonderful man who I didn't even think, I really, by the time, 3 or 4 years into my work, I thought, this is the most important thing I'm going to do with my life. Forget relationships, forget a man, right? Forget it. I don't have time for this. I wasted 20 years. I got to do on, and I met this wonderful man who actually liked the way I was, right? Instead of me, it was like the first time that I didn't have to check myself so I can accommodate a person or a man.
There's no man saying, pronounce every letter.
Right. Or stand this way, or stand at attention when you talk to me. Or it was just like, I didn't have to fight like I did for my dad, right? For my dad to have to be a good girl so he can come pick me up. If not, he's not going to pick you up tonight. I didn't have to be a good girl. I didn't have to, cross my legs and not curse and not burp. If I have gas, I gotta burp. So this guy walks into my life, and he's just like that. He's like, oh, I heard you speak. And I was speaking a lot in different treatment places, and really getting at a community. In Florida, it was a community of power and of connection and love, and here comes this guy, with love and his with flowers, literally on his clothing, literal flowers on his,
like a Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah, like a Deadhead shirt, like a Grateful Dead shirt with flowers, and I was like, no,
you're like, right? Who is this guy?
Who are you? And that was my attitude, It was like, who are you right now? And he was like, and we joke about it because I used to say, where are you from? And he'd be like, New Jersey. And that's not what I meant. I didn't mean that. I meant where do you come from? This guy, And he'd be like, New Jersey, And I'm like, so he would continuously come up to me, like at different places and just admire my work. And I just never did I cross my mind that this person would be for me, a person of interest. And I'm like, get away from me. I don't know who you are. Get away from me. You're so weird. I don't even like guys like you. I like thugs. You're too friendly and smiley. Get out of here. He's like, yeah, me too, I'm like, yeah, you too? Really? So we had it was an interesting connection. We had a connection right away. But I really didn't think it was going to be a romantic one. It did turn into a romantic connection. I have to say, in all fairness, this man, his name is Chris, he did really put the work in. I'm not even, I gotta say, it wasn't like love at first sight. It was like he had to follow me around. At this time, I was tough, right? I'm tough now. I'm like, I'm never gonna go down, And it was kind of fear-based, It wasn't all cookies and cream. I was scared, right? So I had to work, and that relationship brought another layer of wow, I got to work on some things. And there came the group of women that helped me do that, which I do that work now. I do something called emotional recovery with women, where I do a very specific thing looking into relationships. It's relationship-based work, and it's cognitive therapy, and I got certified for that. So I do that. And in the community, what Chris and I started doing early on, we had a lot of conversations. We were interracial relationship also. So I wanted to bring that's a lot of the things we talk about, because I wanted to be very clear. I didn't know what I was doing. I had to read a lot. I had to take intercommunicational classes. I went to, and I spoke to a lot of people that are in different types of relationships, because that's how much I wanted to have a good relationship, a healthy one.
Wow.
And thank God for people that are willing, open, and honest about who they are and what they don't know and what they do know. So Chris is not Latino, but he also understands the privileges that he has been born with. And he also recognizes how he can affect change. That's so important to me, to have these conversations, and to be real about it. He doesn't say, I don't see race. He doesn't say that. He says, I do understand that there is some limitations for women, for this. And I was like, wow, I like this guy. I like that you see that, because it's not about saying it doesn't exist. It's about saying where it does exist.
Right. And what can we do about it?
And what can we do about it?
Because I ask that all the time.
Right.
I'm like,
You may not know.
I don't, and I want to, but I want to know.
Exactly.
Because I want to make sure I'm respectful and
that you're
all
contributing.
of these things. Yes.
This is the thing. We want to affect the world in a positive way.
Yeah.
None of us are going to make it out alive. We're all gonna go.
Yeah.
It's the little time that you got here, and I always give this example to people like you and people that want to know and want to find out for themselves where there it is. It's like a disability, person with a disability. I never go to a place and think, because I'm not in a wheelchair. I don't have a son that's autistic. I don't have a disabled person that I deal with every day. You have no idea, right, what it's like, right? So when I go to school or I go to my job, I don't wonder if they have a ramp. Do I wonder about that?
Right.
I don't care. I just walk in. I never say, let me call in advance to see if they have a disabled ramp for the handicapped. I never think that. It's just that way. I have privilege because I have legs.
Yeah.
So I have privilege that somebody doesn't have. Whether or not people understand the history of this country, the history of immigration, the history of international policy, and how world civilization, how it started, and the people with more have the advantage, the people with whatever, and how race was socially constructed. We come into America. If you're brown, you have a different, not all the time in every situation, but there's a different dynamic. There's a different biases. Like right now, there's a huge bias right now that's proven with medical bias that more women of color die giving birth. There's a higher mortality rate. So you check these by 71%, and you're saying, wow, it's 2019, really?
Yeah, what's up
Why?
with that?
What's up with that? And when you find out, when they did the research, is that a lot of the medical research that's done is done on older white women and older white men. So when women of color go to get help for delivering babies, their symptoms are not believed.
Yeah.
It's the doctors don't believe that those are their symptoms. So there's a higher rate.
What the
and you're like, wait a minute, what?
What the
Wait a minute, I'm not having children? Wait a minute, I'm of color. Wait a minute, why not? There's other factors, socioeconomic status, if there's more people of color that don't have enough money to have medical insurance. There's a lot going on. My point is, I always like to see not where are we privileged? Everyone can ask themselves that.
Right.
That's how you know.
Just had, you were here, we did our Badass Woman of the Week, and my Badass Woman of the Week was an Afghan woman who raps about daughters and women or children being sold as brides.
See?
And she's doing this social change, and she has, she escaped from the Taliban to Iran, and now she lives here in America.
Incredible.
And I was just, when I found that, it's just.
Do you believe that? There's a woman out there doing that?
Yeah.
Gives me goosebumps.
And
I'm like,
it's
what
just,
the?
And we've lived, and how we lived.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Never
like
had to
what you're
worry
saying,
about that.
I know I have a
never
lot
had
of,
to.
right, a lot of privileges.
I never went on the subway thinking the Taliban is going to pick me up today.
Oh my God.
Right.
That's not
you
a fear
never
that I
worried
had.
that your father's going to sell you so
Right.
your family can eat, or
No.
so your
At
brother can buy a
15.
bride,
No.
or whatever. I mean,
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Change.org is one of the organizations that you can find each and every single thing you want to, even if you don't know what to do, you just go on there, read about it.
Right.
Even if you don't know what to do, give money to those charities.
Right.
I don't care. Contribute,
Yeah.
you know, like it's about that. So it's about building the community. And me and Chris did that early on. We started what we did in Florida, which got us a lot of people to help, was we rented a place and had a yard. And then we would invite all the new people in the town, right? In that town that were in treatment or came down to Florida for treatment, that didn't have family or friends. It was a safe place that we had a party every
So
month.
you built a community.
I built a community.
That's amazing.
So it was like a New York community. It was like a Latin community, but it wasn't like New Yorkers or Latin people in there. You know, it was like a place, you know, where people can call it home. Let me tell you, we never spent money on that. You know why? People were so grateful to come. They would bring a dish, right? We had 50 people, 100 people come off the streets, serious, to our house, right? And you're like, we're going to get robbed tonight? No, never. Not one time. Not once. Can you believe that?
It's amazing.
Treatment centers would donate porta-johns
Wow. Oh my
for
God.
them to come and use, because we only had one toilet. It was a little
So
humble house.
you would do this, and it would
Every
just
month.
be like in 1 month for one night to have fun.
Yeah.
Because these people may not have fun.
Wow.
You know,
And that's where I built. That's
yeah.
where I found all
That's
the women.
amazing.
You know, that would share their stories. We had a fire. We had people with instruments. So you know, people. We didn't have to pay for music or anything. People would bring their guitars, and people would bring food, chairs. It was like a mini Woodstock. You know.
That's
No, seriously,
amazing.
in the
That's
yard.
amazing.
And remind me, where was that?
That was in Florida, in Pompano
That was
Beach.
in Florida. And then how did you end up in Colorado?
Right. So Chris and I, you know, got together, got married. Let me tell you, for two people that with the humble background, you know, that were never supposed to meet or not compatible, we had a very extravagant wedding. I have to say that, because we never thought that was, honestly, we didn't think that. We were going to have like a beach wedding, and our parents got involved.
I saw some of your pictures.
You
A
did?
big wedding party, right? Oh my
Huge.
God, you looked stunning.
It was an amazing day.
You looked like a bride out of Vogue or something, Jelly. Oh my God, you were again like
Listen.
your story
Yeah.
that we just heard. Who and this woman that is sitting in front of me, I can't even imagine the
I don't
two-
even believe it sometimes. I say, you know, I do wake up with a lot of gratitude in the morning. Like this morning, I remember coming here. I was so excited to sit here and have this conversation.
You can cry. It's all right.
Sorry,
We
because
can get a tissue.
I woke up and I thought, I feel alive. That we have that. There was a time that I woke up and I felt like dying. You know.
bookcase if you want.
It's fine.
Yeah.
You know, I felt like dying many times. And what a miracle it is to feel like alive. It's true, there's a lot more that I have now, material, but it's not even the material, you know? The material will come if you work hard, and you're going to have all that. But what you know what's so hard to come is to wake up with gratitude. That is what you have to work on all the time, you know? Because if you get a job and you work 40 hours a week, you're going to get a paycheck, you know? And you're going to buy a car, and you're going to buy a home if you save, and you give 401k, you're going to put 6% in there. You know, you can make a good investment. You can buy a lottery ticket. You're going to have that. But peace and a feeling that you belong where you are with the friends and the people that you want, and you can choose that. We can choose that today. Wow. It was just like, I made a choice to come here and talk to you girls. It was such a wonderful choice to make.
Well, no,
Like,
we're very
how
happy
exciting
that you did.
that we're going to talk about women, and you're giving women a voice, and to see you doing that inspires me. It's what inspires me.
Well, no, and that's what we want. I mean, we just want this to be a space where women can feel comfortable and tell us about their lives and give us a peek into their lives, and that somebody on the other end can be out there and get something. And just, you know, even if it's a small piece, and maybe they didn't come, you know, even me, I'm sitting here, we come from very different places. But what you're saying, there are many things that I'm like, oh, I can relate to that. I know that feeling, you know, and so I think that just is a way to make somebody feel less alone. I know I feel less alone in this world, knowing that there are other women out there that have gone through what I've been through, or similar situations, that they've come through it, and that I never have to do anything. That's what I'm learning from this podcast. I don't know about you, Corey. I am learning, because I have every woman that comes over here, and I see in their story that they got help along the way, and that they're mostly all, you know, everybody's doing something else to help someone else too.
That common
Like,
theme
we
is that we
never
cannot
have to be alone.
do We don't have to do anything alone.
No.
Nothing. Help me bake a cake. I just asked Lisa. Lisa, how can you help me? I've asked a woman. Can you guide me through cooking last year's turkey? We don't have to do anything alone. I'm talking about baking because that's on my mind. But nothing. We don't do anything.
You don't have to do anything alone. And that's one of the major. If that's what you're learning from even this podcast, or that's the best lesson, because you will go through trials. You're gonna go through bouts of depression. You're gonna when people die in your life, when you're not getting the job you want, when you're not happy, just for whatever reason. There are days I cry because I have my period. I'm just like, I have a headache. I don't want to have a headache today. But I know there another woman has had a headache. I know another woman has had her period. And they didn't stop the Olympics because a woman had a period.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So when I see that, these women out there doing things, and there's women that are doing extraordinary things, right? And then there are women like us, that are ordinary women doing little things that make a huge difference. You don't have to be Maya Angelou. You don't have to be Oprah.
Right.
I'm glad they exist.
Oh, hell yeah.
I'm glad I love them. Thank you, ladies. But what about everyday women that are superheroes?
Yeah.
If you woke up this morning and you connected to someone, or you saved your child's life because you baked him a cake and he took it to school and he felt wanted today, you contributed to the world. It's a less school shooter. That's a person that's not going to shoot up the school today. That's a person who's not going to find someone to kill because he needs love. And I think that was the major theme. I felt very lonely, very alone in the military, in the streets of New York, and in my house, in my home, in my thoughts. And women and these kind of organizations and all these anonymous programs that they have 12-step programs out there that helped me a lot in this transition. The community is what brought me together, because I remember being in a community and not being able to talk within the community. So they're good, because then we gave food, we give material. These community environments help you feel like, okay, wait a minute, I hear myself, I hear that. So that's why I think it's important. Not everybody has to go to a community setting and feel like they need to talk. Sometimes you just need to listen and hear, first observe and hear. If you hear your story there, if you hear people talking about what you've been through, because that's what's going to really make you connect to someone else. Chris and I decided to go back to school, right? So we went back to school. We both graduated college, and he was further along at the time. So then he went and got his MBA. I finished my degree. I did a lot of work in the community with 4 Oceans. That's another organization that really helps the community because they clean water, right? And they go all over the world. So then I got a wonderful idea, and I told my husband, I think we should travel the world, right?
Yeah.
We should travel the world, and let's see how we can do this in the world.
Yeah.
He was like, keep dreaming. I said, I will keep dreaming, while I work hard. And you know what? He really meant it. He said, you should always keep dreaming. I said, okay. And I'm a dreamer. He's more of a coordinator.
Yeah.
Right? So I said, my goodness,
That works well.
This is so perfect. I have these ideas, and I have a drive, and I'm going to do them, and he's going to prepare some of them for me, right? He's going to he's going to set the platform. Since the beginning, he knew that, right? I didn't. I'm just like, I'm going to speak. I'm going to share. I want to connect. He's like, okay, well, you need 3 notepads, 3 pencils. I'm like, okay, good. Yeah. Get that done.
It's all, and let's give a shout out to our men behind the women. Because
Right?
I think we all 3 sitting
Yes.
right here. I know Corey's lovely fiance does all our editing stuff, all our audio stuff. My husband does all of our tech website stuff. And your
See?
husband's behind, like, there are great men.
Behind every great woman,
there's a great man.
there could be. Yeah.
There could be.
It doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have
but
to be.
there could be.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we are there now, because I do remember a time that there was an awful emptiness behind me.
Yeah.
But right now he is my partner, and
and it also could be another woman.
it could.
It could be anybody.
That's right.
And I just got to say, you did, that dream came true, didn't it?
It did come true. Yeah.
Yeah, you traveled.
You traveled
You
the
know what we
world.
did?
Yeah, tell me.
You know what we did? Because I'm very excited about this.
I want to hear, because I love to travel.
Listen.
Love it so much.
Let me tell you first, before I say this to anybody who's listening, you need to travel.
Yep.
It's a necessity. It's like, it will change your life. not the pictures you're gonna post. Even though I am very picture friendly, I love pictures because I like to go back to them. My husband's like, I've never seen somebody that every 3 months sees her videos, like actually goes back and sees them. You know, I do. I relive it and I go back and I say, remember the museum? Remember that lady we met?
Their memories.
Yeah.
We just had a conversation with
that.
another woman about pictures and how they're memories.
They are memories, and I capture them, and they're not like great. I don't have like the greatest camera. I don't care.
Whatever.
You know, you will learn so much about the world, and really, you're gonna learn about yourself. You're gonna learn what you really believe, and you're gonna learn how friendly are you, how biased you really are. You're gonna learn how ignorant you really are, and it's gonna create a motivation for you and a fire within to learn more. You're gonna say, wait a minute, I do want to learn about the Asian community. Wait a minute, I don't really know anything. Oh my God, I sound dumb. I can't believe I said that. You know, these are the moments.
I've had all these experiences.
Yes, me too. And you know, let me tell you how interesting. And I'm gonna tell you how we got there. We quit our jobs. We had corporate jobs for 7 years. We made a lot of money. You know, we went up really fast because we're young and have a lot of energy, right? And we have all this community, so we kind of stand out, right? Even in a corporate setting, we did, right? Because these corporate people, they were bred for that. You know, their parents, and we're not. We're like from the streets of New Jersey and New York, and you know, we went through a lot to get there. So we have a different drive and a different motivation. So we went up the ladder really quickly, and then we quit. We were like, we took a year after we got married. We went on our honeymoon. So we went to Italy for our honeymoon. We went to a very beautiful place called San Sepolcro in Italy.
Ooh, I like the way you say it.
And it was just phenomenal. It wasn't like Milan or like everywhere that everybody goes. It was like this little town. There was no English. The most amazing experience. I really want to do this a lot. I want to do this more. This feels right. And he said, yeah, me too. You know, I really want to do this. So we traveled for our honeymoon. We ended up traveling for a couple of months. You can go. Well, not a couple of months. The time we were there, the 3 weeks of our honeymoon, we traveled to Paris, and it was a surprise. We did all of that. And I said, this is what we need to do this again. So we go home. We go back to work for a year. We finish whatever we need to finish. We have a house, and we rent out our house. We have a business. We started on Amazon, and we decided, you know what? Let's take this on the road. So we took a couple of $1,000. You know, it was a couple grand, and we did it. We took our dog to Colorado to leave our dog here with my in-laws, and we took off. And we started in Southeast Asia, and we actually backpacked. We sold everything we owned.
That's amazing.
I can't believe we did that. That was an amazing thing.
Yeah.
It was very scary. It's not easy. But it's something freeing about not owning all that stuff.
Right.
I didn't realize that I was attached. You know, and it's not like, I'm not a guru, you know, I'm not like pure Zen, you know, I'm just like, wow, I can't believe that I got rid of half my stuff. I can't believe that I did that. And I feel like a different person because I did that. And then I said, what else can I get rid of? That's what happens.
Yeah.
You do a cleaning of material stuff, and you don't realize you need a cleaning of friends too.
Yeah.
You need a cleaning of people, of friends, of
Cleaning
things.
out your Facebook page.
Yeah, cleaning out your emails. You know, you don't realize how cluttered you are.
Yeah.
We are cluttered, and we can't think clearly when we have a lot of things going on. If you have a lot of friends that are not convenient, relationships that you need to cut off, it brought all of that to me.
Was it Maria Kondo? You need to.
Yeah, you know her.
Yeah,
she's
it's like, no,
take it out.
bring in your joy, get rid of it.
I saw that now. I didn't even know about her when I left, but I just saw her thing on Netflix. She killed me. I was like, wow, this is wonderful. But unclutter yourself is also another thing. It's a whole industry of books and people. You got to unclutter, because you can start with your closet. Honestly, start with your closet, because when you realize how much unnecessary things you have there, you have that in life too. You probably have unnecessary friendships that are not reciprocal. You're not getting nothing out of it. You're not contributing anything positive. You know, you got to get rid of these things, you know?
So you went to Asia, and then how many places did you
We
get
went to 30 countries
30 countries.
in 7 months.
Holy.
On foot.
What?
Yeah, on foot. I mean, we had to fly, obviously.
That's
but
amazing.
we crossed borders, you know?
Yeah.
I want to just say this, skyscanner.com.
All right.
Skyscanner.
Oh, well, I definitely want to talk to you more about travel, you know, outside of this.
possible.
Me and my husband, and now we do have children, so we don't have we can't
We
just
saw a
go.
lot of people with
but
kids
we take our kids.
doing that.
We take them to a lot of places, and that's our mission is, I never went on a vacation as a child ever. And so now I'm like, no, we got to experience
so
this world.
important.
You don't realize how small your world is until you leave it. And then you're like,
Can I just say one
amazing.
story of that I met this kid? He blew my mind. I mean, I met a lot of amazing people. I mean, seriously. In Indonesia, in Thailand. I went to a place it was called Burma a long time ago, and now it's called Myanmar. And they just opened 5 years ago for tourists. 5 years ago. They have nothing commercialized. Not one thing. And you can't even read what they're,
Right.
this, it's like another language. And that was the most amazing experience, the most different from anything
Right.
I've ever seen in life. It was monsoon season, and I see the people having dinner with water in their house. There's no doors or walls. It's just water it was just insane. And I was like, wow. I even didn't want to record it because I didn't want to record it. Like a zoo. Like you're just in a zoo, like recording. I took a couple pictures because I have to remember, but it was intense. I met amazing people there. You know what? They were so impressed that we were there in their land. And they wanted to practice English. So it was incredible. We sit with these guys and they're like, how you doing? I'm like, okay, so we're going to say how you doing. This is how you say how you doing, and I'm like, wow, this is amazing. I'm just like, I'm crying the whole time. I'm like, I love everybody. They even helped to protect me. Since I'm an American woman, I don't see the limitations that other women have in other countries. So I picked up a stick to beat off some weird creatures that I've never seen, and I was scared. So I said, let me just walk with the stick in case they come and attack me. And these wonderful teenage boys were playing basketball on their court, and they all stopped playing to come to me. And I got scared. I was like, oh my God, and I have my stick in my hand. And my husband was like, what's going on? And they came to protect me. They said to me, do not walk around with a stick. She can't. They was telling my husband. They were telling him, she can't walk around with the stick. They're going to beat her.
Wow.
Men are going to come out and beat her if she's walking around with a stick.
Wow.
And I said, oh my God, thank you so much. You guys helped me. Yeah. Just
that's
when you
awesome.
think.
Again, people helping people.
Yeah, people helping people. And
I love
so
it.
we met a wonderful people. I met this one kid in Czech Republic, and he was studying there. And we were on a train. We were going to Kutna Horna, which is this museum where they would bury all the kings, and you could see all their skulls. I mean, incredible things that you're like, is this real? Like, am I in a real place? And me and Chris we really, really love history. So we go to every historic place of the town, and a lot of tourists don't go that far, right? They just go to like the Chinatown or whatever.
Right.
So we go, and we also don't take tourist buses, right? We don't do tourist adventures. We do everything ourselves with the local people. So we go to the local store, the local restaurant. We talk to them about who do they use, which, and they're like, oh, Johnny, because he's not a big corporate tourist agency, so we want to help that family. So we would sleep in their house. We would sleep and work on their farms through an organization called Wolf.
Okay, woof.
Yeah, Wolf. You know them.
That's all over the world.
All over the world. Yeah, you can do that. We also did our own volunteer program, like and I don't recommend this unless you really have done volunteer for a long time. This is not for the way we do it. So we do an Airbnb with a person in town that doesn't speak English or whatever, and then we just tell them. We just tell them themselves, like, is there anything you need help with? We want to help you today.
Yeah.
With anything, and they'll be like, no, I don't know. They're like, we're here 3 days, living in your home. Whatever you need. We'll go grocery shopping or something, or clean the bathroom, something like simple.
Yeah.
The reason why I say I don't recommend that for everyone is because that's not an organization. That's just pure learning, being around people for a long time. If, me and Chris have been doing volunteer work for a long time with organizations. So when we are out there in the world, we have different organizations that are backing us up. There are 12-step programs all over the world too. So we do a lot of that. We work and talk in a lot of those. In Germany, in Greece, when we were there, it's just amazing to go to these places and be with those people that understand your anxieties and your, if there's addiction, we were talking in these places. It's amazing.
Wow.
I think you're amazing.
Thank you.
And I love your story, and I really, really do appreciate you opening up and just sharing it all with us. And
That's amazing.
And to hear, I mean, did you ever think as a small girl in New York City that you'd be traveling the world and helping people and, at the other side of the earth? Like,
Never.
Yeah.
Never
It's
did I
amazing.
think that I was going to do emotional recovery work in Thailand,
It's amazing.
in Krabi, meeting people there. Like in Cambodia, going to the ruins and meditating at the ruins with 3 people that I've never met before, because we had a connection, because a woman was talking about her distress and her sexual abuse and I said, you're not alone. There's these organizations. That's what I said. Oh my God, have you ever heard of this? And I gave her a link and she's like, really? Yeah, there are. There's suicidal there's dual diagnosis organizations and links. We can talk about that, when we put them on the link on your website.
Any links you have that you
I
want to
will. I'm
share
gonna
on
send
your
them to you.
page, you can send them to us.
It's important that people know you're not alone. Call someone. We are here to hear. Even if we don't know what you went through, I don't care. I want to hear it. I want to hear about it. And Chris and I traveled all over the world with that mentality, and it gained us vast amounts of friends. We have people we can stay. We met some people in Vietnam. They were from Spain. A couple of weeks later, we ended up staying with them because we met them in Vietnam.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it was amazing. One of the kids that I met in Czech Republic, he said, that's what I like about, he was telling me, I was so impressed with this 20-year-old that knew all the political and economic status of every single country in Europe. And I said, why? What made you, I was interested with this. It was like, he interested me, his knowledge. What motivated you to know all that? He's like, because, I come from a small country within all of the Balkan countries, and we need to know everything around us to survive. But Americans don't need to do that. And I said, why do you say that? He said, because you have the biggest military. You could just kill anybody you want. I thought, wow, I never thought that. I never thought to think that way. He said, that's why, he said, you have people in America who don't know what I know. And it's true.
Yeah.
I said, we're Americans. We have great, we're just the greatest in the world. But we don't know anything about that guy's country. You can ask a 20-year-old now. They have no idea what's going on.
Nope.
And that's interesting, right? And you're in America, right? Yeah. And I just thought, okay, that's another thing I want to do. That's what I said. I just want to educate my people, right? Americans. I just want to be a voice. I want to say, yeah, we need to learn a little bit about the Chinese. Yeah, we need to learn a little bit about the Japanese. Yes, we need to learn a little bit about the Indians and the American Indians and whatever. We need to learn a little bit. We don't have to know everything. We need to know a little bit.
Yeah.
Because we're all together here.
Well, thank you so much for educating us today on
You're
the
beautiful.
show. I
Thank
mean,
you. Yeah.
that's a lot of stuff that I didn't even,
Right.
And I'm like,
Me neither.
okay, I want to get involved. I want to know more.
Me too.
And I hope our listeners feel the same way because this was something else.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was
know
an
more,
honor.
learn more.
Yeah.
Ask questions and say more, right?
And say more.
Say more. We're here to hear you. Your stories are important. This is how we're going to heal each other, right? Is by talking, connecting, and being there for each other. Loneliness, right? If you're combating loneliness, if you don't feel like you're good enough, trust me, come and talk to us. You'll see.
Yeah.
You'll hear how good you are.
But we'll have to have you on the show again sometime, Jeli. This was great.
Yeah.
We could talk.
Thank you.
Talk.
Thank you so much. You're a light.
We're grateful for you. Thank you.
If you have an interesting story, something funny, something sad, something you want the world to know, please email us. We want you to share your experiences with us. We'll take these, we'll collect them, we'll do some episodes sometimes where we'll read them. So if you want to be anonymous, please just let us know. We won't read your name. If you want your name read, then we will. But send us those stories, comments to info@herturntotalkpodcast.com. And we also ask if you like what you're hearing, please rate, review, and subscribe. Thank you.